Woo! All right, we're official like a whistle. That's what Too Short says. Hey, we back for another episode of Monday Night Raw. I am your host, D. Horace Towns, reporting live from an underclosed location. I'm joined by my best friends, who I like to call the super friends. First off, I'm going to the person at top. I don't know if he's Leon Phelps or Zay Bontanamo, but I'm going to call him the ladies' man. What's up, Pimp?
What's going on, my brother? What's up, everybody? My other brothers, how y'all doing?
All right.
Good.
Shout out to
Right.
today, Cole Red. You here with us again. Appreciate the love, buddy. Second of all, I'm going to the person at the bottom. The person I like to call Super Mario Senior. Please say the senior.
What's going on, man? Glorious day.
All right, everybody tuning in, hit the share button so we can get cranking up. I like to call this 100 the baby mama edition of the Black Super Friends podcast. And I'm going to the bottom. He's a special guy to me. We have a special relationship. He's the guy that I like to call the sponsor killer, but he's not going to do that tonight.
No, I'm not going to do that tonight.
Not going to do it tonight because he's representing his company, his industry. And the person I like to call, because grandma tells me to, Sing Chris.
Thank you, as always, my brother, for that intro. But it's King Chris spelled incorrectly on purpose. Or should I say it in your native language? Hey, hey, hey.
Yeah, that was a good one. There's only one comedian.
My
on
bad.
this panel. Okay.
My bad.
Oh,
All right. Go talk to me like that in front of my son. I got you, buddy. So listen.
Oh,
I haven't seen y'all guys in a while, so tonight I'm choosing to share and show my eyes tonight because somehow some angry fans have a problem with me wearing my shades, and they don't understand this because of the lights in the studio. But you know, to each his own. I'll try to go with it for a little period of time. Okay.
That's why
All right.
I always go clear.
Yeah. Well, right off the bat, I want to go to our commercial sponsor for the week. And I keep saying, people, there's a vegan market out in this area. We want to support healthy, clean eating. But apparently everyone wants to eat ribs. All right. So I'm not going to deny anyone that's in business. We try to support Black organizations. So we have yet another rib sponsor. All right. Yeah, I know. This week's sponsor is City Boy Ribs. The logo and the motto is, you might want to slap your knee off when I drop this meat off. City Boy Ribs.
City boys, we up.
Hey, when he starts slinging shirts, put me in line.
Mm-hmm.
I need that.
That could easily get misconstrued. So
Yeah.
that's a different issue.
You
Hey,
wear
first off the bat, man, I want to recognize that even though he ain't on the panel tonight, he is the second generation of Black Super Friends, man. We need to recognize Lil Mario's birthday, Lil Wapo.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Boy.
His first birthday, man. How was it, Mario?
Oh, man, it was a joyous occasion, man. I was happy, man. He had a good time. My mom and my niece came up, you know, because of COVID, we didn't have too many people. So it was just the grandmas and the granddads, and then that's it. As you know, y'all guys would have came. But man, he was running around happy. I think it was his birthday, man. And he got a basketball goal, even though I told nobody don't buy him no basketball goal. But and he shot his first basket. Cause one thing for sure, looking at our track record, I know he's not gonna be 6-0. One thing I don't want to do is get him a dream that's unattainable. I think the days of spoiled well over.
Okay. Yeah. The game is getting shorter though.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to test that. So get him a soccer ball coming right up.
Well,
Gotcha.
Mario, your son is my son, so I'm gonna let you know I'm gonna be the butthole that I am. For Christmas, he will have a drum set delivered to your front door.
Step brothers.
Oh,
Yeah, tradition.
Hardy used to play drums himself, so he
Yeah.
already know
Sure
about
did. I know Omar over there happy.
Bro, them drums about to be banging through the house.
Yeah, you're right. He gonna be in his own room.
So, you know, you have a beautiful daughter, and now you got your son. You know,
Yeah.
you're on top of the world.
Right.
With that being said, all of the guys on the panel are fathers. You know, so I want to ask you guys tonight, before we get into a deep discussion, I want to ask y'all, what is your definition of being a father? Or what does being a father mean to you? What does a father mean to you? And I want to go first to the comedian of the night, Sing Chris.
that would be King Chris spelled incorrectly on purpose. But
Misspelled.
when it might be, that's on purpose. But honestly, man, when we brought this subject up on pre-show, I was excited because I knew this was going to be a slam dunk. I knew I would be able to, I'm a father, so I knew. But at the end when I started to think about it, it became harder and harder to define it for me. And I think that it has something to do with maybe I've never had a father, so I never experienced actually having a father. Honestly, I feel like since I moved back to Orlando, I get a day-to-day lesson. So I'm starting to define being a father for me. But I do think that you have to experience it from both sides, as far as having a father, whether it's good or bad, or just and being a father. So I think that it's best to kind of like experience from both sides, because I don't know the other side of it, and I don't have many homeboys that grew up with their fathers. And so while I'm trying to learn to define the father that I am, I think it's best for me to define the father, to understand the father that I am. So I brought in a special guest to tell me what type of father I am. So, okay, let's talk to the people. Come on. Come on. Talk to the people. Tell them. She prepared a special presentation for her.
Oh, she's your child.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Fathers play.
You still in her shine, bro.
Go ahead.
I feel like fathers play a crucial role in a child's life, because fathers are important because they teach you things your mom can't and or doesn't teach you, such as, for example, your dad would normally teach you how to freshen up your laces, and your mom would normally teach you how to match your clothes. Even though you can learn many things without one, I feel like it would be better to have one, and I'm very grateful to be able to experience that.
Thank you for your
I agree.
That's real.
Good job, Kyle.
Cupcake.
Hardy, it's your turn, my brother.
Well,
Oh no, we're gonna go with Tootie on this one.
The excitement just overwhelms you.
I
buddy.
know.
he's choked up in the studio.
He's choked up. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
Warm, and I ain't gonna lie, Chris.
Well,
I was fighting the tip.
Me, I have 3 boys, and I have Tyler, I have Jamari, and I have Kendall. They are all grown. Oh, you don't know the feeling that I have inside. But what does being a father mean to me? Well, what is the definition of being a father? I wanted to say, when I had Tyler, I wasn't trying to have a child, but I wasn't trying to not have a child. Life was good back then. Things were a little different. So I had I had a job and had a little money, and I don't know if I was feeling a void. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have a son. That's how lack of mentorship is very needed. No one told me the variables that came with being a father. I'm just thinking I'm gonna have a kid, life would be good. And that's what made life interesting. But when I first had my son, the minute you see your child, life will never be the same. The minute you see your child, you don't think the same. Now you're thinking about your child 24 hours a day. Before I had Tyler, we would get in the car, and if it's a party in Tampa, we would just go without thought. We didn't have anything to think about. But once you had that child and you hold them, your life would never be the same. And I think that being a father to me meant my kids came first in everything. And last off, right now, I want to say that being a father to me in my older days, I realized that we have to change the approach. It's more than being a dad to my kids. I take the village approach. Being a dad or being a man is closely related. I'm a father to a kid that don't have a father down the street. I might be a father to my brothers on the screen. We are fathers all the time. And I said that because I have a young man that's 5 years old. When he sees me, he runs up to me and says, "Hey, Daddy. Hey, Papa." I call him during the week. Now, back in the days, I would have been like, "That sucker, I ain't taking care of nobody else's kid." But the void that young man's father ain't in his life right now. So I can never, knowing that we didn't have dads, I don't want other kids to experience that. So I have a 5-year-old that I once or twice a week call, "How was school? How was this?" Until he gets to an age where, he can understand some things. But I think being a father means being a father even when it's outside your household. So that's my spiel. Zay.
Man, so I wrestled with this one here. As you said, we're all fathers. I got the joy of having my daughter this weekend. I got the joy of teaching her. So when I sat back and I toyed with this a little bit, and I kept asking myself, what's the definition of a father? The definition of a father to me is someone who is going to be there for a life that he created, in all capacities, whether it be financial, physical, mental. You need to be there. That's a father. A part of that shield that we walk around with as men, saying that we are protectors and providers. We're also teachers. Just like how we have to teach men how to be men, we also have to teach women about love and all the things that a man is supposed to do or not do. That's what a father does. And so when you ask me about the definition of a father, that's what it is to me. That's what it encompasses: being loving, being supportive, always being that pillar or that rock for your children that you help put on. That's what it is to me. What does being a father mean to me? It means everything. So as I started off saying, I took this weekend, as y'all saw, I've been shagging, I've been woofing it. A haircut has been the last of my concern, of my worries for a while. I could care less. Everything else was good with me. Wasn't going through anything. It just wasn't important. I took that time when my daughter kept telling me, "Daddy, you need to cut your hair. You need to do something with your hair." So I said, "You know what, baby? We got some time. You're over here. Let's cut. And I'm going to teach you." So that's also a part of being a father, is the teaching aspect and letting her know, to not know fear beyond means. Don't worry about messing my hair up. I just want you to get comfortable with the motion and doing it, because who knows? She may like it. It may end up being an extra stream of revenue or income for her. And I've taught her how to feed herself, and not only herself, but her family, if that's something that she turns out to like. And that bonding, that time for me was everything. I loved it. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, she got it started. I had to finish it because only I could do it the way that I needed it done. But she loved it. She shared that information with her sisters. And, for me, just that smile on her face of that, knowing that my dad has my back, that he'll let me do something as crazy as cut his hair, that was everything for me. So for me, being a father, just simply just being there in capacity.
Hardy boy.
My brother Hardy.
I like to piggyback off all what y'all said. All of us didn't really have per se a father, but we also did have a lot of good male role models. So like Tootie, I had my baby very young. I didn't know really how to take care of myself. I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know what being DeMario was, let alone what being a father was. So when I first had my daughter, everybody knows I definitely didn't plan it, but it happened, and I knew that was a responsibility of mine. So the first thing about being a father I came in contact with was responsibility, because it hit me like, man, I'm responsible for somebody now. Like, I can no longer ask. I have to be a giver. So that was the first time in my life where it wasn't all about me. It wasn't about what shoes or what car. It was about how do I even go forth to make sure that I'm somebody who she can be happy to say I'm her father. So then the next thing came to me is like I was chosen because Lord knows I didn't try to have a baby. But then as Jayla grew up in her life, I started seeing that if it wasn't for her in certain situations, I wouldn't have had the drive or the restraint in some certain situations because of her to even become the man I was. So I had to see that God chose for me to be a father at that age because he knew that's what I needed to stay on my purpose. So then that's what the third thing was, purpose. So then once I had Jayla, everything I went through, and thank God for all y'all being there, you know, because all y'all was through with me through all the transition of me becoming from D Hardy to Mario to all my steps in life. I just started growing and growing, and Jayla kind of grew with me. So if Jayla was to come and do a kind of thing, I'm pretty sure her and little Mario have two different references of who because they see two different daddies. You know what I'm saying? And when Jayla graduated, I think the accomplishment of seeing that we figured this out together, you know, then right after that, I had Mario. So then I said, dang, everything I couldn't give Jayla, now I get to be able to give her. I get to wake up every morning, go to every doctor's appointment, take him to school, pick him up, see his first steps. So then I felt like happy and like a shepherd because I get to get up every day and then see my sheep and then mold them into the person who they want to be and be interjected. So being a father overall, even though it took me on a roller coaster emotionally, physically, and financially, it always did one thing. It let me know that my purpose above all was going to be a mentor and to be a shepherd. And I feel like being a father above all is being a shepherd because a shepherd feeds, protects, guides, and loves his sheep. And I feel like all of us are great examples of doing that for our children. And sometimes a shepherd is not taught to be a shepherd, but sometimes you get through in there like David, and then you become one, but you get chosen to be one before you even knew that you was one. And I want to say I appreciate all of y'all because at every point of my life, I can say I hear a lot of women and a lot of dudes say it too. That it's a lot of sorry dudes out here, and I'm blessed to say that my closest circle of friends are not those dudes. Because I can say that we was to poll all of our children outside of us being there, they would all say the same thing, that we may not be perfect, but we damn sure worth it as being a father. So being a father is just like all y'all said, it's the world, because I believe it defines my purpose in life.
Yeah. For me, man, I think that like I want to piggyback on what you said, man. Like I didn't understand that until I moved back up here. That them car rides to school, them picking the picking her up from school, the doctor visits, everything like that, man. I got a little more appreciation out of it and thankfulness out of it than I think she did because one thing being a primary parent I say does is give you the motivation. You know what you waking up every morning to do. You know why you going to that job. You know why you starting that business. You know your purpose. And that's what looking at your child every day and being responsible for your child every day does for you. It makes sure you know, hey, this is what this has to get done. So,
Right.
I mean, I encourage any man that is a father and not fully there. I encourage you to do it because it's one of the most fulfilling. It's the lowest paying job I've ever had. Lowest paying,
Hey,
but
you definitely don't get any type of accolades for it. Neither.
But it's definitely one of the greatest, most fulfilling jobs I ever had.
You know, one thing too, Chris, I was thinking about with all of us that I've noticed, and I remember speaking to my brother about this at times, that what I see inside of us as men and as fathers is everything that we didn't get from our fathers, we try to pour into our children, make sure that they don't have those voids, but to also make sure that we can encompass everything. You know, having children is a lot, and you got to be there for yours at all costs in all capacities. So when I say this, meaning some guys out here that don't have money, and guys, it's okay. Everybody, like Mario said, his finances were rocky. They weren't always good, but when he didn't have money, he had time. And I think that's something that a lot of women got to recognize that they don't. It's a lot of times you oftentimes hear dollar, 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 but those bonds, those precious moments that those fathers get a chance to spend with those daughters are priceless, and they actually mean a little bit more than dollars. we said in another episode, money is important. It's right up there with air, but it's not everything. Having a father figure in the place, whether it be a woman or a growing little boy, little girl or a growing little boy, is very monumental and should be respected. But being a father does encompass all those.
Yeah, I want to say, y'all knew my dad. My dad was a real pimp, like a real actual pimp, and he and his dad. I mean, I think the thing that I wanted to be intentional about was breaking the chain. I recognized at a young age there was a chain that needed to be broken in our family, and we still had them issues where guys. I don't know if we have kids to prove our manhood, or we don't see the totality of having a child. You know what I mean? And I had to break that. I tell anybody, even though I knew my relationship was over, I stayed as long as I could because I couldn't deal with my son under someone else's roof. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, Tyler was a kid, man. I had him with me at least till age 5 or 6. Like, and even after that, even when we separated, all the wrong I did right with it because my kids, the stuff I did was not for me; it was for them. It wasn't. Oh, you bought your baby mama a car. No, it was. I bought a car for my kids to ride comfortable. I paying, making sure my kids have somewhere nice to stay. But I tell anybody, when you're a dad, make sure everything you do it with love, because it ain't no easy job. But I mean, if God gave you that child, man, you definitely have to see it that way. Don't say I had a baby. No, a lot of people want to have kids and not blessed to have them. You got to see it as almost like a duty given by God to raise that child and make sure that you didn't give that child everything. Because a lot of people don't recognize that it's not about you anymore. And I think a lot of us are missing that. You know what I mean? Each generation should elevate. What I'm doing, my kids, the sacrifice I make should put them on a higher plateau. And at some point, we get out of that. So with that being said, and we're in the city girls era, what tips do you give to the young fathers and young single mothers out here? Because at a time in life, we had an issue where, our parents or grandparents, whether you had a baby, whether you liked each other or not, you had a baby, you got married. You know what I mean? And now we're in an era where it's been normalized to have a kid. We not together. We just, we just got a situation. You know what I mean? So what tips do you give to young fathers and young single mothers out there? Zabo.
Yeah. What I would say is I'll hinge off of what you said. Make sure at the crux of everything that you're doing, right at the forefront, that you're showing love. Whether you guys be together or not, very important. It's actually imperative that these kids see love. They see the parents in agreement on issues. And of course, we're human beings. We're not going to always see it the same. That's okay. Normalize agreeing to disagree without it stopping you guys from going forward towards whatever the goal may be. And the goal in this case is the kids. One of the things that I talk about a lot is communication and understanding. That's going to be the lock and the key to everything, guys. And I'm saying this to my fellas, and I'm also saying this to the women. You guys gotta get an understanding of who you are dealing with as a human being. Stop trying to get individuals to conform to what you think a father or a mother should be. That's your ideals. They have their own. Understand who it is that you have a child with. That should have actually been at the beginning. Understand who it is that you have a child with. Choose wisely. But once you do, because a lot of us, like us on the panel, we had no clue who it is we were having children with. At least we didn't know internally. But once you do, try your best to meet them where they are. They're going to have their shortcomings. Try to be the stronger side, the yin to their yang, as it pertains to your child. You guys don't even have to be in a relationship to progressively move forward for the betterment of that child. And then last but not least, I always say kids just need to see love within that. They don't need to see you guys tearing each other apart. That does them no good. And it actually causes problems with them where they might actually think that they're the reason why you guys can't get along. And that's no good for the child. If the child is the sole purpose of everything, make that child numero uno. Something we talked about, and this is my last piece. a lot of us as men are fools for our kids, meaning we'll go hell or jail. Well, why don't we take that same energy as we approach the mothers? You know what I'm saying? To try to make sure that we're still a fool for our child, so that we can still get to see them, make sure that we're spending time with them, but also being able to stomach or stand a conversation with you for the betterment of that child, and making sure that at the end of it, even if we agree or don't agree, that we can come to some type of resolution, betterment of the child. That's what I think I would put forth to any young man that's going to have a child. And I'm definitely going to talk to the women and say, be more receptive, but also be a little more understanding. You can still be firm on your ideals, but be a little bit more understanding for the betterment of the child, not just because you feel a way. What you got?
Mario.
Well, my biggest thing I would say is be patient, because I think a lot of times when we understanding married or not, that you got to understand that one thing they said is like, you have an ideal of what a parent is to you, and that's off of how you was raised and your perception of in the world of what parents are. And no matter how much you know your partner, you could be in love with them, they still have their own way of thinking of how they want to be parent and how they think they should parent. So I think a lot of times is just be patient and understand that at the end of everything, in the center of all, it is love. And then after patience, to me, it comes accountability. Like if you start worrying about what the other parent doing, and then you be accountable for your half or your input on that child's life, and you be the best mother or father that you can be, and then the child will at least have the best mother or father, whatever you are, to them you can be, and then let God and the good word and him or them deal with whoever they can be. Because it's not your job to be both parents. It's your job to be whichever one you are and be the best one of that you can be. And the last thing is understand, just like everything else in life, sacrifices must be made emotionally. So even though you might not like the person, it's not about you no more. The same way you sacrifice and go to work extra hours for Christmas, the same way you sacrifice and you eat the smaller meal, the same way you might have to bite the bullet and look at the other parent when you don't like them, or when you don't want to talk to them, or when you don't think it's right for them to see their parent or on the other side. Understand those are sacrifices that have to be made because it's a child, and if the child really comes first, then their well-being mentally and physically will matter to you. And you understanding that will know that a child needs both parents in their life to be well-rounded. I'm not saying that you can't overcome some things and be well-rounded, but to secure a well-rounded child, you need 2 point of views, a male and a female. So if you do those things right there, and I believe that right now you will have what we call a sustainable co-parenting situation, or if you're married or if you're with them, you'll be able to raise a child together in a good, solid foundation of a home, because we have to stay accountable. We have to be patient, and we honestly got to stop cliche using the word and really put the child first. What you got to?
I want to go back to the question, and I mean, that's simple. What tips do I get? Listen, it was a lot of days that I damn cried. I had moments I cried because the system, I beg anybody, young mothers, young fathers, there are some guys that do need it. We didn't got into a bad situation. But I urge both parties to work your best to work together, because the state don't care about you and the government don't care about black families. So try your best to work together. Once you get to a point where you recognize that they don't want us together, they don't want black man, black woman, they don't want people to actually, have a successful family, what it ends up being productive and advances us as a community, I think you look at things different. I give a shout out to the mothers who don't, and maybe they have the justification to do it. But try to work it out. And I tell men all the time, we have a responsibility as men. Once you have a child, life ain't about you. You ain't missing nothing. Once you have a child, you have forfeited I'm gonna say forfeited. Your child comes first, right? My lessons and my tips will be this: don't tell a child, show a child. A child is going to watch what you do. You could say, don't do this. I've seen too many brothers in the community. Oh, tell a kid, oh, don't be like me. Oh, don't do this. But the kid every day sees images in the household, whether it's some narcotics, whether it's various women. The images are what a kid is going to form as a blueprint for life. Don't tell them, show them better. I can say X, Y, Z about my dad, but I knew and heard of stuff he did, but I never saw it. That's the respect that my dad had for us. Understand what you pour into a child is what come out. I seen a mother 3 weeks ago. She had a bunch of kids in the car. Hey, I love it. The music she was playing, little kids shouldn't be hearing that. I'm sorry. And then when you understand that these kids are cussing and school acting out, music does have an influence on your mind. If you listen to love music, what you do? You in a mind where you feeling a little romantic. You listen to this kind of music, your mind is on that. So it does make a difference. And last off, I'll say that kids should never be robbed of their innocence. I see where a lot of kids are forced to grow up, man, because the parents are selfish. Whether you're dad or mom, put your stuff to the side for the sake of the child. The best thing you can do is be Superman and try to make sure your kids don't have stress. There are too many kids that were in school when I was teaching that came to school with real life problems. And you see kids that have emotional trauma, or you have kids that have PTSD at an early age. One of the guys that I hated, me and him were blatant enemies. God put in a situation where I go to school and I have to teach his little girl in elementary school. Broke me down because it made me feel how stupid it was. But that young mother, that young girl was there and saw her dad murdered. So that child is tore up forever. You know what I mean? And then no one's focused on the kids. So those are my tips, man. When you have we have to pray. Even if your child is 10, 11, 12, still see him as a baby. Protect the baby. So that's my tip, not to rat along. Sing Chris.
That's King Chris spelled incorrectly on purpose. Thank you, though. Tips that I would give for a father. You don't have to. I correct you every time. Patience. Hardy spoke about this. He said something about patience, and I think that's the number one thing, man. If you don't have patience as a father, you're gonna really, really suck at it. You're gonna have patience with the mother first. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, you chose her. No one told you to pick her. No one told you to shoot up the club. You could have strapped it up, but you chose her. You the one did that. So you have to be patient. It may be 10 years down the line. I think Hardy can attest to this too. It may be 10 years down the line before that woman mature or grow, or I don't even want to say mature or grow. I just want to say before you guys
understand.
It might be 10 years down the line. So you have to 100% be patient. Not only that, you have to, as much as we want to teach our children, we have to learn from our children too. We have to be able to learn from them. So I think that you have to utilize your time a lot, because you have to take the time out to listen to your child, to let them communicate with you their problems, their issues, anything that's going on with them. And I find the best way, one of the best ways to do that is time management. A lot of times when we're taking our kids to school, that's like you're looking at a 30, 45-minute ride sometimes, or anywhere you're driving. Utilize that time better. You don't have to play the same exact songs that you didn't heard on the radio 5 million times. You don't have to play the same songs that you already know. A lot of times we get in the car and then we have a conversation with everybody that's not in the car. Utilize that time to have a conversation with your kid. Turn the radio off. Ask them how was school today. Ask them about their friends. Know their friends. Know their teachers. Know all these things about them. Have an intimate relationship with your kids to the point where they feel like they can come to you and talk. Like, I believe that fatherhood, of parenting in general, especially as fathers, because we're usually asked to be the disciplinarian. Fatherhood is 90% teaching and 10% discipline. If you teach 90% of the time, I promise you'll only have to discipline 10% of the time. Because if it's one thing I know that you don't get beat for one thing and then stop doing it and never do it again your whole life. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we have to understand that that's what it's more about than the yelling, the screaming. Just teach them everything. Look at everything as a teachable moment. Them car conversations are extremely valuable. So you don't have to play the music that they don't need to be hearing. You can actually talk to them. Also, it was one more I wanted to talk about, but again, that's the most important thing to me, man. Just utilize your time a lot better. Also, one thing that I now remember, one thing that I taught myself was this: to get the truth must have a safe place to come to. The truth is not going to come if it feels like it's going to be, if it's going to be embarrassed, if it's going to be harshly disciplined. I made a pact with my daughter. I say, hey, look, in exchange for the truth, I want you to tell me the truth, and I promise you I won't punish you the same day. Meaning I would hear what you did, you explain it to me, I will go to sleep, I will wake up, get another sunrise, thank God for another day, and then decide whether or what I'm going to punish you on. Because I think that a lot of times we do things emotionally. We feel like if we punish her, and then now we done fixed it, but that's not always the case. So what I suggest you do is, if you want your kids to tell you the truth, let them tell you the truth and delay the punishment to another day. That way you done went to sleep, you're in a whole nother mind frame, and now you're ready to make the best decision on the punishment. I'm not telling you not to punish the kid, but I think that with a clear head and a clear mind, you can make the best decision and the best punishment. That's what I got.
So,
Wait a minute. Okay, my bad.
Oh, you put yourself on mute.
Yeah.
I thought you was Pootie Tang.
Yeah.
Nah, whatever. No. Before we close out, I wanted to say something to add to what you were saying, Chris. To the other parents, give the other parent some grace. Whether you like the other person or y'all don't like each other, give that other parent some grace. And what I mean by that, give them the benefit of the doubt. No matter how many times they messed up, think the best before you think the worst. And most of all, do not vent to your kids about that parent, because whether you like your baby daddy or baby mama, that child, that's their hero. A lot of times women say, oh, he ain't this and that. To a young man, it's horrible. But to a young daughter, that's their dad, that's their hero. So think about the things that you put on a kid, because somehow I was taught that it mirrors the child's value as well. So be careful with that and give our kids grace to back up what Chris said. Kids gonna make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Even at our age, we still learning stuff. So I think now that we're in an age of information and we're learning some of the traditional things we've done has been not the best, I think we have to start using some of that stuff, some of that stuff, man. So I wanted to add that. And last but not least, single mothers, do not send me hate mail. If you got a young man, find a daddy, uncle, somebody. I know you love your baby, but that young man is your future. Don't say a sorry man out there, and you could be cold. You could be raising that same sorry man.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So this the same one you're gonna want to be somebody's husband. This the same young man you're gonna want to be the man that takes care of you in your young years. So please be open to the fact that a young king has to be a man. So instill those values in there, And I know you love your baby, but let these boys go out there and learn some accountability, some responsibility, and respect for him, for you, and for everybody in that community. That's what make the kingdom great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me go to my third question, and it's gonna be interesting because it's an interesting question overall. And I could go, but I'm gonna phrase this tonight. I'm gonna make it simple, you know, because the viewer question was, how do you find time to make her happy, and how do you know she's worth it? So make it simple and say, when I'm gonna ask you guys, when do you feel someone that you're dating is worth it? Well, Mario, you're married, but let's talk in past tense.
Yeah, I think worth it mean, I guess, worth my time. So I'm assuming that's what she's talking about. And I'm gonna say when it's chemistry, because a lot of times a friend of mine had just posted a meme the other day, and it said, just because a woman is half naked, that doesn't mean that she's a hoe. Because I know a lot of women in church who suck a dick on the side. So I said,
Thanks, Mario.
Sponsor is
sorry.
God.
So I said that's true, and that is 100% fact. But as a man, 90% of us are visual, so perception is going to be key. Because the way we approach you and the way we approach a situation, most of the times, I hate to say it, but it's the fact, it's going to go off of how we perceive you to be as a woman, and most of that's going to come off of how you look, or how you are represented through clothes or through interactions and stuff like that. So to me, a lot of times when you first see if somebody worth your time or not, it's a perception thing. I see where you are, how you look, how you carry yourself, and I think shit, she might seem to be somebody with substance. So then I proceed to treat you as such. Because if I don't see that, and you might have all the substance in the world, then I'm going to approach you in that manner. And I think that's the key to a lot of women. What you got to understand out here is a lot of men don't really know when you worth their time, but it's all a mind game to them. Because however they see you in their head, they make up a story and they say, "Well, man, she seems to be doing everything right. She has a limited amount of kids. She seems to be going to work every day. Seems like a good wholesome woman. I could take her to a nice, respectable restaurant. If I see you head down, ass up in most of your pictures, if I see you with lingerie on, or you looking over your shoulder, the first thing you pushing to me, I'm gonna think you only work time at night." So a lot of times, how I would know is I would look at you first, judge your surroundings, and say, okay, maybe I could take her on a date. That's off a first encounter. That's how I would know. What you got, Chris?
Well, I did a date doctor on this, mini clinic on this, and I think it boils down to price and worth. I hear women say worth a lot. Again, price is different than worth. I'm gonna give you an example. Here's a pen. I can tell you that this pen, the price of this, I can tell you the worth of this pen is $1,000. But really, all I did was just tell you the price, because the seller determines the price and the buyer determines the worth. So if this pen doesn't have $1,000 worth of value to me, then it's not worth $1,000. So if we're talking about worth, it's only how much value do a woman bring to you. That's how you decide if she's worth it. If she doesn't bring any value other than the way she looks or the sex that she gives you, then that's how you can determine her worth. I'm not saying that you have to. I'm not saying you got to be an asshole about it, but at the end of the day, that's how you determine somebody's worth. If she doesn't bring you peace, that's worth all the money in the world. If she doesn't bring you peace, then she's not worth it. Her value is extremely low. If she doesn't bring you another understanding, if she doesn't take you to a whole nother level than where you are now, then her worth is not that much. But again, you have to understand your worth and your value to understand someone else's. So work on your value first, so that you only accept a high value woman. That's the only way that you decide worth. what's the value that it brings to you? Tootie, what you got?
Well, okay, I mean on mute. Well, for me, peace. I'm gonna know that right off the top. Uh, but right now, buddy, that's a big thing for me. But the thing that I want to say, me knowing if they're worth it would be this. First off, do they hang up that representative? And by that, do they hang up their mask? When you meet people, everybody has on the facade for 2-3 weeks.
Right.
Maybe some people even cover for 3-4 months, 5 months, 6 months. And at some point, you really start to see who they are. You can only be somebody else. You can only play to be somebody else for so long. So to me, effort is, how do I know they're worth it? Is when I see them get into a position where they're vulnerable enough to be naked. What I mean by that, putting the facade to the side, you know what I mean? Being comfortable enough to have a conversation. It don't feel like you're trying to sell me on how great you are. You just talking about your day. You comfortable enough to, hey, if you comfortable enough not to have on a ton of makeup and just have a conversation, some sweatpants. I just like a person that's just raw. I know everybody puts on this Instagram fit and all that. That's not reality. We're not looking like glamour people 24 hours a day. And she's worth it. Somebody that gives our friendship grace. I see too many people meet each other and they cutting the person off fast. I see especially women who judge a guy that's trying to get to know them. They don't even give them a conversation. You know what I mean? But somebody who I'm getting to know, I might not say the right thing the first time. I might not get it right for a while. But the person that gives me the benefit of the doubt and has enough conversation to really want to get to know me is big for me. Because, we have interesting characters. Our characterization is interesting. So if you judge me on one conversation, you might miss out on something good. And last off, this is something for me. And I suggest y'all, for anybody, you don't really know someone until you see how they act when they mad and when they hurt.
Or married.
Huh?
Or married.
True that. And because when I've had people that say they love me, right? But when they get mad, you don't want somebody, when they get mad, they're trying to hurt you. That ain't love. Or when things don't go their way, they spiteful, they immature. So that would probably be it for me. If I can meet somebody that can master that, they worth it. But those are red flags you got to look at, because a lot of times, somebody get mad, they can't have their way, or they spiteful. I've seen a lot of guys, a lot of relationships where they really like that person, but they ignore all the red flags. You know what I mean? She's throwing his clothes out the window and just dysfunctional, toxic stuff. And I think you will know someone's worth it to me by their actions and their intentions. So that's what gets it for me. Zabo.
My brother, I'm going to say, how do you know that a woman is worth it? I'm going to say, or an individual, we're not going to just say women. When that individual meets your effort unsolicited, meaning what you're putting into or what you're asking for, they're also meeting or exceeding that. That woman is trying to get your attention and let you know that I'm serious, I'm for real. She might be worth it. You hit on another thing that was real important. My brother, Mr. Roy Kevin, down in Fort Lauderdale, I remember getting a haircut from Kevin. And he talked to me about his wife, because he too is married. And he said one of his defining factors in why he chose his wife was because he thought about how she treats him when she's mad at him. So Tootie, you hit a real good spot, because individuals get upset with you and that mask come off. All those babies, I love you is over with. You feel me? That's another test to see if a person is really worth your time and effort. Because if I come to my sanctuary, which is home, and I gotta fight you after I just got through fighting the world for us, it's not gonna be able to work. The rent that I'm asking for up here in my head is too high for you. I do have to kick you out, because as we said, it's all about peace. And if that person doesn't bring that piece of sanctuary to your relationship, 9 times out of 10, they're not worth it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say it, and I'm short and sweet and quick with that. But that was my interpretation of the situation.
Yeah, I think last thing with me to add, safe. Men don't usually say that. When you were the person that makes you feel safe, what I mean by safe, that you know you can be yourself. You might have a vulnerable moment that, hey, I had an issue at the job today, or being able to have some real conversations without thinking about it's being said somewhere else or being used later on. So I've learned that that's a big
I'm being
thing.
judged, my brother. You don't want to be judged on that. I had a close friend with mine who said that, he had a significant other, and he would get, intimate with her, especially about like his day or something that was happening. And sometimes it brought forth tears. And she just kind of like, you crying for, if a guy is crying, that man hurt. You feel me? I would have to clear it. I'm sorry, I would have to clear it, but it's true. But you have women that are insensitive to those needs of the others. Just like you have dudes that figure when she come home and she's trying to tell you about her day, oh, here she go again. Bro, you better pay attention because she gonna start talking to somebody else about them problems, and we know how that all ends up. So you gotta be mindful.
I got a question for y'all. Yes, all those are good scenarios and they sound good. But I think the question I want to know is, because I didn't have those problems. I had the problem of how do you know who's worth it when you have a bunch of good women?
You said you had a problem.
Right. I'm saying that's what I said I didn't have those problems.
Oh, I don't.
I ain't trying to be funny. Like, it's certain stuff I'm just not even going to intertwine with. I'm not even going to intertangle with. I'm a red flag runner. The minute I see that, I understand the world as we know it today, and I don't sugarcoat my life to me. I understand that right now it's a lot more women in this world than men. So I always felt like I worked on me to become a certain kind of person. So I know what I'm not taking. So when I seen that, I left. So after I got to like 26, 27, I just didn't even date. I'm not even talking to women who cause any kind of problem or disrupt me in my life in any kind of way if I can see it. Now, if it was like Tootie said, a mask or something like that, as soon as the mask come off and I see that you're not who you're supposed to be, I'm out of there. But one thing I had to deal with is finding the right person for me, because I had a lot of good women, like a lot of women who most of them gave me peace because that was my criteria. That was my bottom line. It had to be that or you wouldn't be talking to me. Most of them had stability because that was my bottom line. Like, I had 5 non-negotiables, so I'm not even going to talk to you if you don't have those. So how do you pick a woman when they check off all your boxes?
I think it's all about what season you're in, but go ahead, Chris.
Well, like you said, I think that that's really a good question. I think that you at that point you go with who, because it's good women is one thing, but who's actually putting in the effort towards you? Because sometimes when people think they're good, especially in my experience with dealing with women, they don't think that they have to put in a whole lot of effort because they're good. And I've never heard a woman say she was a bad woman, so that's just what it is.
Right.
So, but at the same time, man, I think that what works out for you and what seems to have been worked out for all of us was simply not being easily won over. Horace talks about a mask. If you haven't gave her a relationship in the first 2 or 3 months, then you're gonna find that that mask is gonna come off, and then you'll be able. You don't have to ever, you can see where it's coming, and you don't have to go take it no further. I think that's what it is, man. Not being easily won over, and I think that we talk about the player life a lot of times, but that gives us data on women. It gives us so when it's time for us to make a good decision, we have a lot of data. We know that, okay, yeah, this is good. This is a good situation, but this situation ain't good for me. But this is not a bad woman at all, but it's just not good for me. You know what I'm saying? So I think that that's a big part of it. I teach that all the time. Do not be easily won over. You don't have to be a jerk. You don't have to be an asshole, but you do not have to be easy. She can't just getting the draws isn't equivalent to giving a relationship. Because at the end of the day, once you give a relationship, once you give a ring, all that, she is now a representation of you. And that should not be easily done. You are giving her your name. She is carrying on your lineage. So no, that shouldn't be done. That shouldn't be won over. It takes you 4 years to get a degree, to work a job for 20 years and retire. But you didn't found out who you want to be with for the rest of your life, and it's under a year's time. That's to me, that's craziness.
I think I think it's all about the season. And maybe I'm lining up with what Chris said. It's all about what season you in. Because I think for once, this applies to anybody. Do what's best for you. Early in my early years, I made a mistake. I was in some relationships for them and not for me. And people say that, but you with them because they're crazy about you and they like you, but you really don't have that same exchange for them. So you with them, but are you really with them? So I say it's all about what season. And a lot of times you can have 5 or, and you're trying to figure out who checks all the boxes. Sometimes the person that you want ain't what you need. I done seen a lot of scenarios where the brother heart was with this one, and his heart ended up probably limiting his future. But the one over there would have gave him the world and more, but his heart was stuck on this one. So, it gets. Well, it
was probably her ass though. Like that, we got to keep it real with this shit. We are mesmerized by ass and titties.
I said perception.
Exactly. So we mesmerized by that, and we're willing to give those women a lot more of a pass than what we'll do with another woman that's basically throwing herself to show you how good she is. And I fall victim to the same shit. So I understand that. How do we combat that? Because that's one of the hardest things to combat. That in having multiple women, but the visual part. Because I gotta. A lot of us think that our perfect woman, the woman that's perfect for us, just happens to be built like Serena Williams.
It's got to be taught, Chris.
You know what I'm saying? But how do you teach that though? What do you do with that?
I think this. Not to take away from purpose, because I'm a firm believer in the person for you is tied to your purpose. So I'm not. That's what I believe in my heart. But take that out of the way. Take that part out of the way. And I'm gonna say this. I think you and Horace say this a lot, and I think y'all go back and forth on this a lot. And it's good rhetoric, but men need to use it too when we saying this. Cool. Let's just say you want the woman who built like Serena Williams, who cook, who clean, who love you, who patient, who's a good mom and all that. So does everybody else. So what are you gonna do, and how are you gonna be the person that she wants? Like, because at the end of the day, I agree with Chris saying, okay, don't be easily won over, but it is a echelon of people. Like, it's people who get up and go to the gym at 4:00 in the morning. It's people who work on their attitude so they be more patient. It's people who, I did all of this. I got my team. I did all of this to become this upper echelon person. So you deserve to get what you want. So if that's the kind of person you want, I think you should start with internalizing, saying, let me make myself better so I can be attractive, not just physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, to that kind of person too. I just don't want to say I'm a man and I got a job. I deserve Serena.
What I'm not so much as meaning like the top echelon. What I'm talking about is just what we get fixated on physical. You can find that physical in the projects. You don't. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking. I completely agree with you when you say if I want her built like this, cook, clean, great job. Yes, you damn right. You need to put the work in too. So I completely understand that. I'm just, as a microcosm, I'm only talking about how her physical attributes cloud our judgment, and how do we combat that?
But I'm at a place where I'm past that for once in my life. You know why? Because from social media, everybody getting surgeries, they're getting add-ons, additions. Everybody fine right now, right? But when you talk to them, nothing registers with you. You know what I mean? right now I'm at a place where it ain't all about the body. If I can drive it, I'm gonna drive it. As long as it ain't too much for me, I'm gonna get in there and crank it up. I'm like Mario. I'm looking for something that is good to me. I'm getting to an age where who can I be with that I know can deal with something happen. If I get sick, she ain't gonna pull the plug. You know what I mean? Or somebody I know day to day is gonna give me that peace, and we can come up together and make a manageable plan for life. If she's gonna be on board, or at least trust you me to lead. Not this city girl crap. Not this I'm Miss Independent stuff. You do you, I do me. I'm past that because the vanity right now, I want somebody who even understands that who ain't striving for attention. Attention is the new currency. Like everybody need attention. So I'm finally past that because the animalistic side of us was in the past, like in 2010, man, I was something else then, right?
But I think what you're saying too is 100% right, and that's a valid question what Chris got. But I think you hit on that kind of it's like where you at in your life at that time, because 10 years ago, Mario, I'm a party animal. I want the indulge and just go in there and just have the best time of my life. But once I start saying, bro, I want somebody I can be with, I can actually be with for the rest of my life. Then, I want you to look good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't need all of that because there's so much other stuff. And peace, being able to work with each other, raise kids alike, like all that stuff just came so much further up in my life than the booty, which was prevalent in my younger days. Because I agree with Chris, like that was I wouldn't even talk. That's not even I needed it because I was thinking with my other head. Just being real, I was thinking what was gonna fulfill me. So sexuality was the forefront of my life then. So fulfillment came through sex. Like that's how I was fulfilled. So then the first thing I'm gonna do is look at what looks sexy to me. But right now, in the world I'm living in right now, like just sitting there and watching TV and just sitting there and just being able to be like, well, I don't have to do nothing right now. Like that piece right there, like going on trips or like I ain't trying to be funny, just to trust. Like any one of y'all can stay at my house at any point in time and I'm not here. My old lady will open the door, let y'all in, and everything it's just different levels of comfort, peace, and trust that I wouldn't trade for the biggest booty in the world. Because at my age right now, I'm thinking about how is my life gonna be when I'm 60? How is my life gonna be when I'm 70? And do I want a thick ass bitch who arguing at me every day, or don't cook, or who can't teach my daughter shit? My jailer called Jaleesa about woman shit all the time. Like that matters to me at this age. You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask you something though. With all it being said, all of y'all, we're all established now, right? I'm in a place where the club is the club. I know what I'm gonna do in the club, so I don't care if it's the club in Pahokee. I'm talking sex analogies. Club is a club. As long as I can shoot it up, I'm good, right? But all of us are established at this point, right? So in this era of everybody so cute, that's what I keep getting back to. You cute, and you pretty much cute. But again, Chris, you done bust your behind to get where you at. You buy a new home. You're inviting someone to join you into that. For what though? Like, what do they bring to the table? Starts to be the conversation that I have. Like, that's where I'm at, probably saying you cute, but kind of with Mario saying, what do you bring to our dynamic? With my kids are grown, but what if we were to actually have kids? Can I trust you to raise our kid? What are you going to be teaching our kids?
See, I think one thing you're talking about too is a type, Chris. I ain't trying to be funny. I believe that the woman you get is going to be, because you have a bottom line too of shit you're just not going to take. But I think that you're going to be looking, and it's going to probably come in that rapper because that's what you like. Like it's certain stuff that I want in a woman. It's certain stuff that you want in a woman, and I don't think they really got to be super. But I believe it's gonna be a curvaceous woman, and that's what you like, because you can't bullshit yourself. Like,
I understand what you're saying, but for me personally, I said that for all of us, encompasses of all of us, because I've known you guys, I've seen that. I fully understand that may not be the end result for me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I completely understand that. And I'm one of the type that has indulged in, various body shapes,
All right.
colors, and all of
I'm
that.
partaking myself.
I can concur that.
So I completely understand that God is very funny why he puts certain different things.
Yes, he is.
So I'm not. That's not that part. I'm not hung up on. What I'm saying is, in the process, in the process of it, I think that what we do sometimes is like you said, visual. We are visual. So we
Right.
we go there, and even if we understand the fact that, okay, well, that might not be where we need to go. We need to stick with this one. That you always when they walk around, you doing
I don't
this or
think that never
whatever the
gonna
case
go
may
nowhere.
be.
I don't think they're never gonna go nowhere. Every man I've talked to been married for a long time told me you can look, but you better not act. And if you start looking too long, that means remove yourself from that situation. Like,
But what is looking a crime?
no, I said looking too
No,
long.
staring is.
They say you
Staring
are,
is.
but it's a difference. Like, and man, she's thick. Then,
Damn.
Where you at in your mind after that?
now you drifting.
Right.
To just how you doing, ma'am? Now you making conversation, because what you're doing is not only as you just visualized it, but you took it further, because now you're trying to open the door and see where you can go. Because you're still a hunter. Let's get this straight. You just that's been in you. You hunted more than you have not hunted. And when you get to our age, so right now, if you get married tomorrow, for the last 20 to 25 years, you've been a hunter. So that rush when you see a gazelle that runs by you, you still might look, but you still have your gun ready, and it's always on your back. That's why you have to just walk away sometimes, because you still know you're a sniper. So
but I'm saying like okay, here's the thing. This is just what I see.
Go down this rabbit hole, Chris.
This is what I believe. No, I'm just saying this is what I believe. Like I believe that women are looking too. I think that we're getting punished for looking, or we getting demonized for looking, but they're looking too. And I don't understand what is the problem with admiring. We go to strip clubs.
Your mind.
Chris, you gotta get yourself in line with what you're asking for. So you have those women that are out there that's gonna let you look, and they're gonna look with
you. Ain't nobody gonna let me do nothing. I'm a grown man. I do whatever I want to do.
There you go. But mine gonna look together.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I don't think, and maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm being naive, but I think right now, I like pictures on Instagram. I look and all that, because she know who I am. She know what I'm governed by. Like, she know that don't mean nothing to me. I'm never breaking our vows. Like, this is who I am. Like, I wouldn't have did it. Like, you always talk. Nobody didn't make me get married. It was my conscious choice to get married. I got married because I wanted to. I didn't need no money. I didn't need her to cook. I didn't need no kid. I got married because I felt like she was my other piece to my pie, my purpose fulfillment. That's me. So when I'm looking at somebody, you know that's just what I do. Man, look, I'm pretty sure she look at a dude come out of the gym. Like, I'm pretty sure of that. I'm not the sexiest guy in the world. I'm pretty sure. I know I'm not. So we can't be naive in it. But I think that when it become a problem, I have been with women who it's a problem, and I know that's gonna be a problem for me. So that's why I'm red flag. And I got the hell on, because I can't be governing. I can't be in the store. That's crazy.
Can't live like that.
But that's the key, though, Mario. That's the key, though. You said that she understand that you're gonna do this, but you governed by XYZ. A lot of times that's a problem, because a lot of times you will have women. And I would say women, because that will get with you or go on your DM, go, oh, you so funny on Instagram, and oh, you like this and you like that. And once y'all get together, now it's a problem. But why is it a problem when you're in a relationship? Because guess what? I'm in a relationship. If I'm married or engaged or whatever, I see this chick. So now that went to my mind, like, boy, I'm thinking about all the things that I would have did or used to do and da-da-da. Then later on at night, I'm in the bed with my old lady, still visualizing what I seen earlier, and she know, like, well, what did it got into you? My mind. So that's why I say,
because you got it like a jackrabbit.
That's them insecurities, though, too. Both on the women's behalf, and you got some insecure men that do that junk too. You feel me? If you with that person, if you with that person and you understand that person, which kind of go back to what we were saying. You understand that person, you know that they're going to do these things. But like you said, Mario, at the core of you, they know if they really, really are into you, they know what you stand on and what you're about. Like, he just doing like you.
If they don't, I always tell you this right now. If you don't, I can't control
Did
it.
I understand?
And I
Yeah.
know who I am. So you lost.
And in a
What?
lot of relationships,
You're gonna be successful in life. You're just
Point.
not gonna be successful over here with Zay. I'm
Right.
a lot
sorry.
of
That's
a lot of
just-
relationships end on that.
if you find something that you might think that is better, or you might think is more appeasing, and you want to go
Go ahead.
cover the grass, by all means. Because I understand I am a good grade of grass. So
And Augustine.
I don't have insecurities. Like I know who I am. I understand I'm not the sexist, but I'm far from the bottom. So if you decide, my sister, to do and travel on, I'm okay. That's why I'm not tracking who you looking at or what
There
you're
you
doing.
go.
I know I'm the shit. That's just how I feel. So if you feel like that, you don't kind of worry about that much. That's how I feel.
Well, listen, we
Gotta
went
tell them
too
peace
long.
be unto you.
Well, we went long on that. Hey, before we close out, I want to actually recognize that it is Domestic Violence Month. The month of October is supposed to be wear the color purple, Domestic Violence Month. And before we get out of here, I want to mention something. I don't have a take on it. I thought it was odd, though, that I've seen this guy, the Tory Lane situation. I've seen this guy, and he has to be like Lord Farquhar. Like, he's like 5'1".
Damn.
And man said 5'7". Stop playing
He's
with
not. He is no way the man.
5'7". Stop playing with him.
The man look like a Monopoly piece. The man is 5'1". Megan Thee Stallion is 6'2", right? We had this domestic violence situation where she was allegedly shot in the foot. I thought it was more like a stapler. You know, I wanted to see the gun that don't really penetrate the skin. But that domestic violence situation that TMZ covered, and it was such an outrage, and everybody gave their take on it. I thought it was interesting because he has his story, she has her story, and in the middle, somewhere is the truth. We wasn't in the car, but I will say that I think it's LA County, who is infamous for giving you charges for anything under the sun, refused to press charges against Tory Lanez. So Megan says he shot her in the foot. He's saying something else happened. And we have the middle, who nobody ever knows what the real story is. So I just had to mention that. I didn't know what y'all thought about it. I just thought that for that to be a news story for a whole month, I just thought that was interesting. I just can't really even see them two together. Like
Tell
a
them
pony
drop it in
ride.
the comments, drop it in the DM. We could probably pick it back up on another segment, but that's very interesting to me because I've never met nobody that shot somebody and go make a mixtape about it. Like you got to be the dumbest man in captivity, or you didn't do it. So something's afoot, like you said, and we just don't know what it is. But
Either
no
way,
way, shape,
I have to cut
yeah,
you off.
we don't condone.
It's just that this go back to one of our previous episodes of that council coaching. Like that soon as we hear something, we want to be the first to react or the first to jump on the bandwagon before we get all the facts. And as Black people, we're not afforded the right to do that because the same way we want the other people around us to treat us or to not judge us or discriminate against us or prejudge us, we do it to each other so fast. And that's what that's my problem with the council coaches. We so quick to judge before we get all the facts. But if the other people was to do it to us, we'll be like, man, they don't crucify the man. He ain't even this, he ain't even that. Mm-hmm. But we do it to each other. So if I don't know what happened yet, that's why I haven't spoke on that yet. But I think everybody should follow that model. Bro, they don't know they still figuring that out stuff yet. So to bash him or to bash her, to say she lying is crazy. And I think we should afford each other the same rights that we want the other races to afford us.
Yeah. I honestly, again, I'm gonna say it the same way. Before, like, we don't know the whole story. You know, we have no idea of the whole story. It won't, for me personally, it won't be the first time I've seen a light-skinned singing dude do some whole shit. Like it just won't be the first time. But it also not the first. My uncle told me believe half of what a woman say. I mean, believe none of what a woman say and half of what you see a woman do. So I won't be the first time I've seen a hurt woman tell a story that ain't exactly what happened. So I'm not, I'm gonna be like Mario. I'm not gonna touch this one until we get everything out. But Horace said that the LA County refused to press charges. I don't know if they refused, but I haven't pressed charges. And by now, chances are great charges would have been pressed. I think what we need to look more into is Megan Thee Stallion is on Rock Nation. Jay-Z is the owner of Rock Nation, and Jay-Z has a lot of power. So that's just something I just want to throw that out there, something that you may want to pay attention to, because the whole situation seems a bit funny to me, but that's my take.
In general, I was going to say that we also don't condone any of this domestic violence. That's first and foremost we wanted to talk about, but it's a funny situation, and we just podcast. It was in the news. We want to bring that forth to get some takes on that and get some understanding. Maybe it makes dialogue and we can have a conversation.
Yeah, well, that was the overall key, was to highlight how, stop getting caught up on the media headlines.
For sure.
First, pray that thankfully no one was killed or injured in that
Right.
situation.
Right.
That is the biggest act. And always making a reminder about domestic violence, which is never accepted. You got to stop
Absolutely.
that, especially in our community.
Walk
All
away.
right, close the comments real quick. Chris.
If you got a beater, you don't need her. Mario.
Yeah, domestic violence is definitely goes both ways. So keep your hands to yourself, ladies and gentlemen.
Y'all know this closing comments, right?
Yeah,
You know it. That's what we want to leave on their mind.
Okay, well, Mario mentioned Love the Bear.
Oh, I got a clothing line that come out every fall season, and it's called. I have sweatshirts that say "Love the Bear," "Help the Bear," and "Feel the Bear." And what it is it created this little bear, and the Love the Bear ones have a heart, the Fear the Bear ones have a patch, and the Help the Bear ones get beat up a little bit. And I got it from my uncle. He used to always say, "If you see me in the woods, don't help me, help the bear." So in the sweater, they come in an array of colors and all different styles and everything like that. But they're just a nice hoodie. So so if you want to if you want to help the bear, please, in the background, he's on fire.
Answer the bear phone. The bear calling. Let the bear in.
Zay,
some of us run businesses, man. Jesus Christ.
He's barebacking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I hate to be the bearer.
No. I can barely bear this show.
If you want a sweater, you can hit my DM and we can have it sent out to your house. But first and foremost, we got to let you know, the ladies, y'all, Black Super Friends shirts are on the way. Now, when you receive this said merchandise, you have 3 things to do: post it, talk about it, and wear it out. And tell everybody who you see, ask you about that shirt to tune in on Monday nights at 9 to the Black Super Friends.
Barely.
Thank you. That's all.
You know what? I'm just saying I got nothing. I got nothing.
Hold on. Bear with me for a second.
You better say anything, dog. Golly.
God damn.
You guys are unbearable at times.
Oh boy!
Right. Next week we'll be right back on Monday night. So I'll go and throw the whole show away, man.